The northernmost state of America, Maine, has forests so dense and so unnaturally quiet that locals say the woods don't just hold secrets, they feed on them. And among these forests lies a nearly forgotten township, Whispering Pines. Population, 412. At least, that's what the census claims. How many are still alive? Nobody knows. This was the very place 27-year-old Ethan Miller ended up. His life had collapsed in a single month. He got fired from his job at a Boston magazine, his bank accounts were almost empty, and his fiancée, Giselle, had sent him one last cold text. "You'll never settle down." With nothing left, Ethan dug through his things and found the one opportunity he still had. An old contract from a publisher, a full-length horror book based on real American haunted towns. If he delivered one completed manuscript, he would get paid enough to survive. Desperate and exhausted, Ethan packed his car and drove north, straight toward Maine. Whispering Pines was quieter than any town he had ever seen. His car's engine echoed through the empty streets as if disturbing something ancient. Tall pine trees rose on both sides of the road, their tips swallowed by low clouds. The wind wasn't strong, yet the trees whispered, a strange rhythmic hissing, as if someone far away was calling or warning. At the entrance of the town, Ethan passed an old wooden sign. Whispering Pines, population 412. Maybe. He laughed nervously, probably some local prank. There was only one motel in town, Pine Hollow Inn, a 1950s building with peeling paint and a flickering neon sign where the H blinked every few seconds. Inside, the front desk was run by an old woman, thin as a skeleton, skin pale like she had never seen sunlight. Her name tag said Martha. "Room?" asked Ethan. She slowly raised her head and stared into him, as if reading his thoughts. "Second-floor rooms don't stay occupied. People don't last there," Martha said. Ethan chuckled. "Perfect! I'm a horror writer. I need material." She didn't laugh. She didn't even blink. She simply handed him a heavy old key. Room 203. When Ethan climbed the creaking stairs, he noticed a strange smell, damp wood mixed with old earth. The hallway was long, narrow, lined with closed doors. Room 203's door moved slightly under Ethan's hand, almost like something inside had pushed back softly. "Probably loose hinges," he muttered. The room was surprisingly clean. The window looked out to the black mass of pine forest, stretching endlessly. No cars, no animals, not even birds. Just silence, and the faint whistling in the wind. Ethan opened his notebook and began listing local legends, haunted sites, missing hikers, rumored forest spirits. Then, standing near the window with a cup of tea, he noticed something. The trees were moving, but there was no wind. And the movement wasn't natural. The branches were swaying in synchronized arcs, all in the same direction, like hundreds of invisible hands brushing through them. He tried recording it on his phone, but the screen glitched. Then, from somewhere deep in the woods, came a sound so faint he wasn't sure he heard it. A child's whisper. "Come closer." He froze. The whisper was distant, yet somehow right next to his ear. Before he could react, someone knocked at the door. 3 slow, heavy knocks. He opened the door. No one. Just an empty hallway stretching into darkness. A cold draft crawled down his spine. When he closed the door again, he noticed something on the floor. A small folded paper. He picked it up and unfolded it. Inside, written in shaking handwriting, "Don't look at the trees for too long." Ethan dropped the note, heart pounding. He ran back to the window. The trees were completely still now, frozen like statues. He didn't sleep that night. Around 3 a.m., he heard footsteps outside his door. Slow, dragging, stopping right in front of room 203. "Hello?" Ethan whispered. Silence. Then a single breathy whisper through the door. "We see you." Ethan backed away, gripping the chair. Minutes passed. The footsteps slowly faded away, then dissolved into the strange forest whisper again. By sunrise, Ethan had made a decision. He would interview locals, gather the town's history, find the source behind all this. He stepped outside the motel. The morning sky was gray, and the air was unnaturally cold. Across the street, he saw a man chopping wood. The man's movements were robotic, as if he wasn't fully conscious. Behind him, the pine trees swayed again, in that same silent rhythm, even though not a leaf moved anywhere else. Ethan took a deep breath. He had come to write a book, but Whispering Pines wanted something else from him, something entirely different. And he was already too involved to walk away.
The morning in Whispering Pines felt different. Not alive, not dead, something in between. Ethan stepped into the cold air and instantly felt watched, even though the street was empty. Across the road, the man chopping wood kept moving in the same stiff, mechanical pattern. No breaks, no pauses, just chop, lift, chop, lift. Ethan approached him cautiously. "Excuse me," he said. "I'm writing a book. I wanted to know if you—" The man stopped mid-swing. Slowly, very slowly, he lifted his head. His eyes were completely white. No pupils, no iris, just blank, like the inside of a shell. Ethan stepped back instinctively. The man tilted his head, studying Ethan's face as if recognizing him. In a dry, breathless voice, he whispered, "You're not supposed to be here yet." Ethan's blood ran cold. "What does that mean?" But the man didn't answer. He simply resumed chopping wood as if nothing had happened. Ethan backed away and walked toward the center of town. Whispering Pines looked normal. Neat houses, trimmed lawns, quiet streets. But something was deeply off. There were no pets, no children, no sound of radio or TV, no passing cars. Just the whispering wind. That wasn't really wind. Ethan saw a local diner, Hollow Creek Cafe. Its sign faded, but open. Inside, a middle-aged waitress with red hair and tired eyes greeted him. "You're new here." Her tone wasn't welcoming. It sounded like accusation. "I'm Ethan Miller. I'm a writer." At the word writer, the waitress stiffened. A man sitting in the corner booth stopped eating. Another man reading a newspaper lowered it. Slowly, everyone in the diner turned to look at him. Ethan forced a smile. "I'm writing a book about haunted towns. Thought I'd explore Whispering Pines." The diner fell into dead silence. Then the red-haired waitress whispered, "You shouldn't have come." Ethan tried to laugh it off. "I've heard that twice already today." She leaned closer. "No one comes here unless the forest wants them." Ethan blinked. "The forest?" She nodded slowly. "The trees whisper because they're alive. They watch. They grow toward the ones they choose." Ethan swallowed. "Choose for what?" But she looked away, refusing to answer. Another man stood up, tall, gaunt, with a face carved by sleepless nights. He said, "Go back. Go back while you still can walk on your own." Ethan left the diner shaken but determined. He needed real information, and there was only one place that held history: the town records office. The building was old and dusty, with shelves full of leather-bound books. A hunchbacked old man sat behind the counter, adjusting his cracked glasses. Ethan approached him. "I'm researching local history." The old man stared blankly at him. "You're not from here." "No." "That's a problem," the old man said in a raspy voice. Before Ethan could respond, the man opened a drawer and slid a file across the table. "Take it. She wanted you to have it." "She who?" Ethan asked. But the man didn't explain. He simply turned his chair around and faced the wall, as if the conversation was over. Ethan opened the file. Inside were faded photographs and yellowed papers, and one chilling headline from the 1950s. "Local girl Abigail Rourke missing in the pines. Search called off after 13 days." Below the headline, a small picture of a smiling teenage girl with braided hair. Ethan frowned. The name felt familiar. Then he remembered. The letter on his motel floor had the same handwriting style. Could it be related? One document caught his eye, a torn diary page. "They whispered my name, over and over. They want me closer. They want to pull me into the earth." Ethan's heart pounded. Beside the page was a small map, scribbled in ink. A location deep inside the forest. A forgotten cabin, marked with a red cross. Ethan knew he had to go. By afternoon, Ethan packed some essentials: flashlight, extra batteries, a bottle of water, and headed toward the forest trail. As he walked deeper, the atmosphere changed. The trees grew taller, their roots twisting like veins across the ground. The light dimmed, though it was still day. And then he heard it again. A whisper. Not far away this time. Ethan. His name. Someone, or something, was calling him. Ethan gripped his flashlight and walked faster. Every few minutes, he saw strange markings carved into the trees. Circles, triangles, spirals, symbols he didn't recognize. Then, he heard branches cracking behind him. He spun. Something had moved. "Hello? Anyone there?" No answer. Just the shifting darkness between the pines. After nearly an hour, he reached a clearing. In the middle stood a small wooden cabin. Broken windows, collapsed roof, vine-covered walls. The same cabin from the map. Ethan approached cautiously, pushing the door open. Inside, dust filled the air. Old furniture lay broken. A rocking chair near the corner moved slightly, though there was no breeze. On the floor lay a half-burned diary. Ethan knelt and opened it gently. It belonged to Abigail Rourke. He read, "The forest speaks. It wants new souls. It grows them, shapes them. We are not people here. We become part of something older." Ethan felt a shiver run through him. Suddenly, a loud thud outside, followed by footsteps, slow, deliberate. Ethan stood up, heart pounding. He peeked through the window. Someone stood between the trees, tall, motionless, but its face was wrong. Too pale, too stretched, and its limbs were merging with the bark of the tree behind it. A half-human, half-tree creature. Ethan stepped back instinctively. The creature's head slowly turned toward the cabin. Its eyes were hollow. Its mouth opened wider than any human mouth should be. And in a voice that sounded like leaves rustling, it whispered, "You're chosen, Ethan." The footsteps grew louder, more than one creature now. Ethan grabbed the diary and bolted out through the back. He ran blindly into the forest, branches slashing his arms, roots tripping his feet. Behind him, the creatures whispered in unison, "Join us." He sprinted until his lungs burned. Night fell faster than natural, as if the forest swallowed the light. Ethan stumbled, falling into leaves and dirt. He crawled toward a faint glow through the trees. A lantern. Someone was holding a lantern. A man. Old, bearded, eyes tired, but human. "You're in the wrong part of the forest, boy," he said. Ethan gasped. "Help me, please." The old man extended a hand. "I'm the only one still fighting them. Come with me before they catch you." Ethan hesitated, but had no choice. He followed the old man deeper into the woods. He had no idea. This man was not a savior. He was part of the story Ethan wasn't ready to hear. And the truth ahead was darker than anything the forest had shown him yet.
Night had fallen over Whispering Pines like a living shroud. Ethan followed the old man, each step heavier than the last. The forest around them was alive in a way that made no sense. The shadows moved against the wind, and the trees seemed to bend, stretching toward them with grasping limbs. Every snapping twig sounded like a scream. "Where are we going?" Ethan whispered, voice trembling. "The heart of the forest, where the whispers began, where the chosen are bound." Ethan's stomach turned. "Chosen? What does that mean?" The old man didn't answer. Instead, he stopped suddenly. The lantern's light revealed a clearing Ethan hadn't seen on any map. The air here was impossibly cold. Fog clung to the ground, swirling as if alive. In the center stood a stone altar, carved with symbols matching those he had seen on the trees. Around it, dozens of shadowed figures stood silently, half human, half tree, faces contorted and pale. Ethan froze. They're waiting for me. They've been waiting a long time. The creatures stepped forward, whispering Ethan's name, their voices merging into a single chant. The forest itself seemed to pulse with life, roots twisting beneath the earth like veins reaching for him. Ethan felt the ground trembling under his feet. I can't do this," he shouted. "You have no choice. Only you can end it. Only you can break the cycle." Ethan realized the diary in his hands wasn't just a record, it was a guide. He flipped to Abigail Rourke's final page. "Speak the vow. Give your fear voice. The forest will release us, but only if one dares to stand." Heart racing, Ethan stepped onto the altar. The shadows surrounded him, whispering, reaching. He closed his eyes, reading the words aloud. "The forest may take my body, but my soul will remain free. You shall not claim me, nor those yet to come." The wind shrieked, trees bent violently, the shadows lunged, but the words flowed from him. The forest screamed, voices twisting, branches snapping like bones. A blinding light erupted from the altar. The creature screamed, dissolving into ash and mist, drifting into the trees. Ethan fell to the ground, gasping. The old man helped him stand. "It's done, for now." The forest grew silent. The whispers had stopped. The shadows were gone. Whispering pines looked normal. Ethan's heart still raced, but he finally understood. The forest could choose, could corrupt, could haunt, but courage, words, and defiance had a power of their own. He looked at the old man. "What happens now?" The old man shook his head. "Now you leave, and you tell the story, so that others may know and fear wisely." Ethan nodded, holding the diary close. For the first time he felt a glimmer of hope amid the terror he had witnessed. If you want to uncover more hidden horrors lurking in America's forgotten towns, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Every story has a dark heart, and Whispering Pines is only the beginning. Dare to follow Ethan's journey, and remember, the forest is always listening.